June 30, 1988, 21:48 p.m., a General Express train slowly leaves Beijing South Station. The train is made up of 14 cars, is running from Beijing South Station to Zhengzhou Station. The 415th express passenger train is running if there is no accident. The train will arrive at Zhengzhou Station at 15:39 on July 1. The total travel time is 17 hours and 51 minutes, due to the night departure. Some passengers started to sleep soon after the train departed. Only the train driver and crew remained awake and in working condition to keep the train running smoothly. Time flies. One night passed quietly. The time came at 5:41 a.m. on July 1. The 415 General Express passenger train arrived at Gaoyi Station on time, stopped for passenger loading and unloading operations. 2 minutes later, the 415 train departed from Gaoyi Station at 5:43 Gaoyi Station of Beijing-Guangzhou Railway Station to Yaguiying Station. At this time, passengers in the coach, passengers who have the habit of waking up early, had already taken towels, toothbrush and water cup to wash up in the irrigation room. Some of the passengers had already woken up but still dazed and confused. However, many passengers are still in a deep sleep. While stopping at the high station to check in and out of classes, a passenger with a travel bag dressed in plain clothes stealthily boarded the train. After boarding the train, he placed the travel bag on top of seats 33 to 42. The man's name is He Hongkai. Guangdong Shaoguan City Feed Corporation suspended from work. This trip was to return to his hometown in Xinjiang, Hunan Province, as there were many pedestrians on the train. In addition, he was dressed in a very ordinary way. No one noticed the man's abnormalities, and no one would have thought that the contents of his luggage would make them face the next. How dangerous. After the train ran smoothly for some time, the time came to noon on the 1st. Many passengers began to take out their prepared instant noodles, bento and other food to start the impact. Passengers with better financial conditions already got up to go to the dining car to eat. The conductor pushing the dining car also walked through the aisles of the cars. Passengers were sold boxed meals in aluminum lunch boxes. Everything seemed so normal. 11:26 passengers began to eat, eating the food in their hands. There was a stench in the carriage. It was the smell of burning paste. Passengers began to look around, trying to find the source of this smoke smell. Soon they put their attention on the luggage rack. They saw that the travel bag He Hongkai had put on the luggage rack. Suddenly there was smoke coming out. In a matter of moments, there was a fire. The fire developed very quickly. The whole travel bag had already burned into a ball of fire. The passengers knew that things were not good. Many of the timid began to panic. Stop eating in the hands of the action. They jumped up and shouted, "Fire! Fire! Put out the fire!" The whole carriage was in chaos for a while. At this time a passenger picked up a water bottle and threw it at the source of the fire. Who had thought that the fire did not subside? Instead, it burst into flames. The flames went straight to the roof of the train. At this point the crew was notified of the fire in the carriage. With the current speed of the train, or will certainly be driven by the ventilation system, rapidly spread to the rear cars. After weighing the pros and cons, the crew decided to pull the emergency brake valve. At the same time, the crew members near the burning car had carried the fire extinguishing bottle to put out the fire, but the carriage was filled with smoke. The panic-stricken passengers were taking refuge outside the carriage as a group. Many people were crushed and trampled in the crowd. The congestion in the carriage also made it impossible for the stewards to enter the scene for evacuation and firefighting work. The uncontrolled flames scorched the roof of the carriage. Seat, luggage rack and passenger belongings were burned beyond recognition. The conductor understood. After learning about the fire, he had to make a worst-case scenario. That is, to separate the fire carriage from the rest of the carriage to ensure the safety of the rest of the cars, avoid secondary injuries. With the cooperation of the locomotive section workers, the conductor finally separated the burning cars and brought some of the passengers who had jumped out of the windows, escape passengers, to a safe place. Then Anyang City rescue and firefighting units also arrived at the scene first. At this time the carriage had formed a wall of fire. In addition to the passengers who jumped out of the window to escape earlier, there are dozens of people trapped in the carriage. Seeing that time is of the essence, the rescuers decided to rescue and fire fighting simultaneously. Firefighters while spraying firefighting foam towards the carriage. While rushing into the carriage to carry passengers to escape from the carriage. But when they entered the interior of the carriage, found some passengers were still surrounded by fire in the middle of the carriage. The fire in this area was not yet under control. Firefighters are difficult to cross the sea of fire to rescue. They had no choice but to. Firefighters had to exit first. Continue spraying fire-fighting foam. After half an hour of fire-fighting foam, extinguishing agent almost completely covered the entire car. This is finally put out the fire. By the time the rescuers entered the carriage to deal with the aftermath, found that the carriage previously surrounded by fire had been burned to the ground, completely ruined. They also found 6 bodies inside the carriage. That had been burned beyond recognition. The smell of burning permeated the air. The scene was lamentable. The accident resulted in the death of 6 passengers. 6 people were severely burned, 13 people were slightly injured, and 1 hard-seat car was scrapped. It constitutes a major accident of passenger train fire. Among the passengers killed, most of them were knocked to the ground in the panic. In addition to the trampling injuries, they lost their ability to escape. Cause of the accident, passenger He Hongkai brought 300 grams of aluminum powder onto the train privately and did not use any airtight container to hold it but wrapped in a plastic bag. His behavior is a serious violation of traffic safety law because he did not treat the aluminum powder to prevent combustion, so when the train was in motion, the luggage on the top of the train and the aluminum powder constantly rubbed together. Under the influence of static electricity, it completely burned. Aluminum powder is already a flammable solid. When mixed with air, it is extremely flammable and explosive. And when it meets water, it will have a chemical reaction, release a lot of heat, so it is difficult to extinguish and the passengers at that time to put out the fire. Even to the burning point to throw a bottle of water. This caused the aluminum powder to explode and even burn more violently, eventually caused this tragedy to happen. Finally, He Hongkai, for carrying dangerous goods on board and causing serious consequences, was sentenced to life imprisonment. In addition, the security inspectors of the Gaoyi station also received serious punishment for these accidents.